Hello, my name is Mark, and this is Saseo. So Saseo is a book suggestion website that started to grow as I continuously worked on it. It's still a work in progress as there are a lot of features I still want to implement in the future, like account creation, book review section, maybe even a forum. For the most part, it's still doing exactly what I envisioned it to be, a book suggestion website. As you can see, there's 4 sections here, really 3 main sections. One section that is suggest books, which is exactly what you would figure it would be. This section would allow the user to pick a genre and the number of books to be suggested. And Saseo will go ping OpenLibrary API, find those books, and randomly pick basically from that pile and send them to the user as book suggestions. Random pick, exactly the same thing, but OpenLibrary will pick the genre and pick one book from that pile and suggest it to the user. Search is exactly what you would figure it would be. Search, ISBN search, which you can find books via ISBN search up, again using the OpenLibrary API, and then author search, which is you're just finding more information on your favorite authors. And there's an about section, which is just a little background information on what the site is all about and the technologies used to build the site. So let's explore this website together. So this is the front hero page that the user will encounter. It's just kind of a clean look that if the user were to click on more info, it would scroll down and basically entice potential visitors to this website. And the purpose of this website, like, hey, you can explore different book genres and get suggestions from OpenLibrary API to your heart's content. There are these little buttons here that link to these sections, suggestion, random, ISBN. I simulated a little ad here just to kind of see how it would look as if, this was a commercial live site. This section I'm very proud of because it's basically pinging the cookies file from the user's prior session visits. So if the user were to visit this site for the first time, this section would be populated by random book titles. But the cool thing about this section is that if the user were to, receive some book suggestions, it would pick the last book suggestion genre, like sci-fi. Let's just say, like the visitor visited the website. I was like, oh, suggest me 5 sci-fi books. So then, when the user would go back to this website to find more book suggestions and scroll down, this section would be like, hey, look, last time you visited this website, you were looking for sci-fi books. Check out these sci-fi books that we just collected for you. And again, this is from OpenLibrary API. And yeah, so this is basically stuck with the sci-fi fantasy search that I did previously. Again, very cool little section. It immediately shows users books that they can kind of look into visually, and which is I think was a really nice thing. If we continue scrolling down, there's a New York Times bestseller section, which basically shows all the New York Times bestsellers. And the users can also click on it and receive the actual book via Amazon. This is again being pulled from the New York Times API. And since this is API with limited traffic, there's only a certain amount of times I can pull from this before New York Times basically says, hey, look, we're going to cancel you. You're pinging this API way too much. So this is kind of an older list, but it does work, and I basically pulled this from the API itself. So once this website goes live, there will be more of a paid subscription to the API, so there's unlimited traffic flow. And the bottom here is the footer, which is basically mirroring the header, and with a little section here that the user can type their email and sign up to the newsletter. Again, this is another feature that I'm still working on because I haven't written a newsletter or anything like that, but I figured that the meat and potatoes was way more important, and that is the book suggestion section. So speaking of book suggestion section, let's go there. You can see that this is just a little simple form that the user can look at and be like, hey, what book genre would you like to be suggested to you? And so we can look through them. Let's say, let's go horror. I always like horror. Let's just do 4. And this is the cool little part here that I want to explain. So again, I was using OpenLibrary API, which is a free curated API that has a bunch of books, and some of these books don't even have ISBNs. They're books from the medieval times or scanned from some library or from the Gutenberg library. So it's really interesting. So I gave the option to be like, hey, would you like some weird, strange books from different languages and different time periods? And I thought that was really interesting. The other library API that I could have used is Google Books API, and it's kind of boring just because it doesn't offer a good pool of books to choose from. It's pretty much capped at 20 unless you pay for the API. And two, the book suggestions are always kind of cookie cutter, modern books. The OpenLibrary API offers close to 500 books in a pool, maybe even more. And they're all, again, random, strange, interesting, modern, past books from the past. I had a lot of fun with the OpenLibrary API, so that's why I continuously vouch for it. One of the things with OpenLibrary API is that the data structuring for this API is very different from Google Books API, as in there's a lot of errors and inconsistent keys for these objects. So all these books I'm getting are being pulled from a back-end pool, right? From, wow, that's interesting. A lot of Stephen King's. Who knew horror could be pulling Stephen King, right? Oh, so like I was saying, some of these books are being pulled from a back-end call to the OpenLibrary API, and so it would ping 300 books, and I'm using some scripts that basically would sort through those books, cut them down, and just get the pertinent information. So they're saved in these data objects that have or in this case, an array of data objects. So, for example, this is a book blurb, and what a book blurb is just it shows the little plot to kind of entice the prospective reader to be like, hey, look, this book is about this. Now, OpenLibrary API would sometimes label this as a blurb, the key of a blurb, or sometimes it would say description, or it would have nothing. And so I had to create a kind of a validation in the script that basically detects, hey, if there's a book blurb, it could be this key or it could be this key. And again, it offered a very unique challenge, and I was very proud of myself that I kind of figured out a solution. And another thing that OpenLibrary API kind of offers is that the book covers can sometimes be returned as a 1x1 pixel. So OpenLibrary API, instead of having an empty string for, to tell whoever's pinging this library, hey, look, there is no book cover, it offers a 1x1 pixel, just a black square. And so I was pinging these empty squares that I was like, wait a minute, why is nothing popping up here? It has a book cover, I can see the link, but it offers as a 1x1. So again, I had to create a unique script that kind of detects, hey, look, if it's anything below 100 by 100 pixels, just ignore it and replace it with a no book cover found image that I placed in. So again, a unique challenge that I powered through and found a solution. So I had a lot of fun using OpenLibrary API. It's very unique and interesting and wild. Okay, so moving on. So this is basically the crux of the purpose of the website, to have these books suggested to the user. So as you can see here, there's like basically these links that OpenLibrary also provides, and I also kind of provided some links to allow the user to look at this book in Goodreads, Amazon, maybe even Audible or Google. So if we click on Goodreads, there's a chance that might be a different language. We'll see. Yep, this is a different language. This is French. Another problem that I ran into OpenLibrary API is that it doesn't sort its ISBN by country. It just randomly picks an ISBN and be like, yep, that's the book that you're looking for, which is something I'm still working on, but for the most part, it works pretty much 8 out of 10 times. So we can go to Google and you can see that there's like, hey, Desperation, the correct ISBN for the English version. So again, this offers different ways to the user to attain this book or to find more information about this book. Another thing that I offered to this little section is that the user can add book to their wish list. So what is a wish list? Well, it's this. It's a little reading list that kind of shows, hey, look, this is the book that you're interested in, the author, and the ISBN. And then, let's just say like, oh, Wizard and Glass. Great book from the Dark Tower series. And let's say everything's eventual. Let's add Fallen Hearts too. So we add that in there. You can see the little bookmark slide in there. And again, the user can be like, you know what? I read Wizard and Glass. Let's take it out. And so we take out and have this little modal here that tells you, hey, book was taken out of your wish list. And so all the books that are that the user wants to be included in the reading list is here. And I gave the user the ability to email this reading list to any email they want to. So like if we go modulatorstudios@gmail.com, we type in share, you'll see that this was sent. And if we go over here, there's the new book suggestion, and it shows, hey, fellow avid book reader, and the books that we are interested in. So you can send this to your friends, so the user can send it to themselves. Again, a future plan that I want to do is to have a section where users can add this to their personal libraries tied to their account. And yeah, so this is pretty much the crux of the website. Not the crux, the meat and potatoes of the website that I feel like gives the users a lot of ability to find new books and explore those new books and fall in love with a new book. Let's go to random pick. And essentially it's pinging OpenLibrary API like as if it was to suggest books. But what we do is that we pick a random genre and suggest one book from that genre. And this is basically this little section here is not being called from the OpenLibrary API. This is something that I have, a gift that I created. So I don't cause too much of a damper onto the OpenLibrary API. And then look, Dennis Lehane, Shutter Island. Oh, great movie. Yeah, it just picked a random book genre and offered one book to the user. Very easy to use. Let's go to the section here, ISBN section. So I have one ISBN that I prepared here because, again, I don't have a lot of memory when it comes to the ISBNs, but just in case if the user would want to find a certain book that they only have the ISBN number, they can, oh, sorry, I copied the wrong thing. There we go. And then they find Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which is like some information like the publishing, the number of editions, the year was published, and the amount of pages. I thought it was going to be more. You can also add to my library, which is a feature I'm still going to add as well. Author search is exactly what you would figure it to be. You just type in an author. So let's just say R.L. Stein, one of my favorite child authors. And there he is. It shows like some information. Again, this is being pulled from OpenLibrary API and shows basically his top works, top subjects, 20 books from that author, his most top work, which is, oh wow, Save Cheese and Die. Would have never guessed. And there's also IntelliSense where it's being pulled from a JSON file in the back of all the different authors that the user can look for as well. And this is the About section, which is essentially just a section that shows what the website's all about and future plans, what technology is used to build this website. You see we have React, Vite, Email JS, OpenLibrary API, Axios, ChakraUI, some additional libraries, which basically shows like the links as well. So if you were to click on this, it'll show you like the link. And also repo of the site as well, and future plans. And that's pretty much it. This is Saseo. I'm very proud of this website. Again, this is still a work in progress. I'm going to be working on this website for a while. It's going to be my main portfolio piece, and one day I would like to release it to the public for them to use as much as they want to get book suggestions. So thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. I hope you had a good time.